I feel as if, in terms of what I was expecting for the past 26 years, there's been no progress at all. And for me, I believe that a lot could have been done. Even before COVID-19, there were no jobs. There was a high unemployment rate of all our children, even children who've gone to school, even people who did basic manual labor have lost jobs. So I believe those are the basic needs. I don't want to talk about the needs of what they campaigned for, that they promise for, other things that were extras, but just the basic needs are not being met by our current government in South Africa as I speak. I believe that South Africans, black, yellow, white, green, old, young, in between, must stop looking at politicians as their savior. They must look at each other, at the gifts, the power that's within each other, the ubuntu that's in a white man, white woman, old woman, young woman, who have the best interest of this country. So I believe if we can unite and bring together the strength that Africans, as human beings, regardless of color and creed, can start to combine in order for this country to have a future. There is no future in fighting with each other. We belong to one God. We are one people. So I believe South Africans need to stop looking outside of themselves, look within themselves, and start to appreciate each other as a race of Africa, as a race of a country that was fought for, as a race of a country that has the best future ever.
To me, Hyman is a true leader. It's the person who South Africa should to be blessed to have, because he's always thinking about somebody else, not himself alone. And he's coming from a small little house, from this rural lousy village. We still don't have toilets. We still don't have the storm water and things like that. It's a shame when it's raining here. My position is this about. We don't call him Herman, we call him Hyman. I know he had an old man, his grandfather, Papa Gos. I know Papa Gos, he was Hyman's inspirator. He was a role model, because he was always talking about this old man, and he was always taking advice from him to stay in the tracks. He liked that old man, and he will always talk about it, because that old man has inspired him. If we, the South Africans, we want to survive, to have something in our house, something to eat, we need that man to be the leader. That's my position.
Good morning, South Africa, and welcome. We're live in Johannesburg.
Yes, joined by tens and thousands of people. I'm very excited. I hope you are too.
I'm ecstatic because today marks the start of a very historic moment in our history.
Yes, change.
Change in action, something that we need this 2020.
And how are you feeling this morning?
Well, I'm excited. It's actually such a relief from all the negativity of everything that's been going on. The news, social media, everything is just, it's really disappointing.
And
I'm feeling very disillusioned. And pandemic. Let's not even get into the pandemic. But yeah, we're excited. We're hopeful today.
Yeah, but you know what it is for me, why I'm saying the pandemic? Because at first I was so demotivated, I think like everybody else, right? But then I realized that, hey, the world is going through changes. Things are taking a different direction, and if I don't start adjusting and if I don't start getting into the groove, then I might just get left behind, you know. So I hope that you also catch your moment of awakening as we speak about change and we engage with you.
We hope that you learn a sense of accountability and hold everybody that you're going to see today accountable to their word.
Yes, and that is because you are a contribution to the large picture of the society, because every individual matters. So as we go through the day, please engage with us on social media.
Hashtag, guys, join us. Twitter, Instagram. We want to see your comments and we want to see you engage so that we can bring power to the people.
Up next, we've got political analyst Prince Mashele giving his commentary on the significant new party.
If you look at the South African state, it is broken almost beyond repair. The state has become bankrupt. The ANC crooks have looted public money to the extent that now they are going to the IMF to borrow, and even that money will be looted. If you look at public schools, they have collapsed. Public hospitals, they have collapsed. The economy has collapsed. Unemployment is rampant. If you take all of those things, there is simply no other time to entertain a political alternative. If a political project fails today, there will be no other success in the future. Look, if you take what the People's Dialogue has been telling society, number one, they say they want to bring back the rule of law. They want to fight and end corruption. Number two, they want to restore confidence and capacity in the state. Number three, they want to rebuild the economy. Number four, they want to unite South African society, both blacks and whites. All of those things are the things that you don't see in the ANC government. So, on the basis of issues, there is no question that the People's Dialogue presents what South Africans want to see happening in society. But the challenge will be whether or not the People's Dialogue have the necessary capacity to do what they promise to do. That does not depend on Herman Mashaba alone. It will depend on whether the majority of South Africans support him and join his party to work with him to fix South Africa, because one person cannot fix South Africa. Look at his history. This is an outsider, complete outsider. He has no history of being groomed or trained in politics. This is the man who ran his businesses during apartheid under very difficult conditions. A self-made man, right? He doesn't go into politics because he wants to make money. The guy has been successful on his own. We need those kinds of politicians, because the other politicians in the ANC and in other parties, they are the hungry lot. They go into politics because they want a salary and they also want to steal money. There's no reason for a Herman Mashaba, for example, to steal any cent from the state, because the guy already has his own wealth. I think he's precisely the kind of a politician we need going forward. How I wish we could have more South Africans in his situation, even the middle class professionals, to join hands with him and rescue our society, because the other professional politicians have failed us. Let's understand how we got here as a society. We got here because we had a governing party called the African National Congress. Those are politicians. Instead of appointing professionals to run government departments, they appointed comrades, employees of the party, some of whom didn't even have qualifications. That's why government departments and the state in general collapsed, because we had incompetent people running state agencies. We need to make a break with that. We need a new kind of professional to take over state agencies, people who are qualified, the best in their craft, to take over. And that can only happen if South Africa is governed by a party that is led by not professional and traditional politicians, but some people who are new, who are coming with fresh ideas, who believe in meritocracy. And I think that Herman Mashaba, based on the messages that has been sending to society, that he is that kind of a politician. So we could possibly have professional civil servants taking over government agencies. That's the only way we can rebuild the South African state.
Thank you very much, Prince. Very interesting points that were made there. I think just on my side, I picked up on the point he made about the IMF loan that was taken. And I think it's pretty sad that even during a global pandemic, we still have issues of crime in the political atmosphere, where people are looting and taking money that is supposed to be going towards the contribution of the larger society, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially now during COVID. I mean, PPE is something that we need so desperately, and that it's being taken advantage of is really disillusioning and disheartening.
Yeah, but on the positive side of things, what I really enjoyed about what he was saying was the fact that it doesn't just take one political leader to save the community, but it takes the community in itself getting involved in the change, you know. And I think a lot of people tend to have this authority bias where we look to one person to save all, and that really does not work if you are not contributing to the large part of society. So I'm really happy that he touched on the fact that people can get involved in making a change, because I mean, we are the government.
Power to the people.
You
Power
know?
to the people.
Yeah.
But it's true. In order to have power to the people, we call on sincere and ethical leadership to take the place of insatiable leaders that we've had running our government for so long.
Yeah, I hope that you are also sharing your views with us on social media, because of course we also want to know what you think and where your mind is at during these difficult times, and while we see change coming into place, you know. So give us your point of view and we will engage with you.
Next, we have political analyst Ralph Mateja on his views on the current political landscape.
I think that South Africa has gone through a lot, different phases, liberation, post-democratic consolidation, and I think there is some level of stagnancy now. And there is a need to reimagine the country. There is a need to rethink about the moral basis of our politics. And I think we all agree we cannot continue as we are. So there is a need for change. There is no doubt about it. The question perhaps is, how are we going to frame that change, or how will it come about? But I think we all agree that there is a need for change in the country. I believe that Mashaba came through politics in a very unconventional manner. Someone who was in business and decided to play a role in politics with the aim to say that he does not want the economy to function in a system that is dysfunctional. So someone like that, he came through, however, went into a system that was difficult to work with, because institutions of political parties that have got their own baggages and so forth. And I do think that someone who was able to try to disrupt the system within such short space of time, I do think he can be able to instigate change, or to try to inspire change, or a different way of thinking about South Africa. I mean, sometimes people might think this as a cliche. The country just need good messages. You just need people who can say that today we've just been thinking about the country. This is what we have, an exciting idea is this. And there is nothing wrong in running out of ideas. You don't jail people because they've run out of ideas. We need excitement at the level of ideas. Just for people to think that their country is not all doom and gloom. There just could be exciting ideas. You know, I've seen Mashaba trying out and playing out with ideas. I don't have to agree with him. But I get excited when I see someone saying that, wait a minute, we have not thought about this problem properly. And I know that with those mistakes of rethinking, we're getting closer and closer to the solution. And I think he can continue doing that. Well, I think that since Mashaba took over as the mayor of Johannesburg, there were wider investigations of corruption, and they were spoken about. He was never on the defensive when issues were raised. And I think that the level of cynicism that existed about the state of things in Johannesburg was lower during that time that he was the mayor of Johannesburg. I mean, you know, people thought they had a mayor who's not going to steal from them. That sense of confidence, and people who said, but we know that he knows what is the relationship between input and output, because he has once run a business. He knows if you put a certain amount, you're going to get something. He did not just wake up overnight rich. There's someone who understands the system, that 1 + 1 certainly have to be 2. Unless otherwise, we are in another world here. South Africans have been living in another world where 1 + 1 is not really 2. They've been asked to accept is 3 times is 4. Things don't make sense, we get by. So I think that someone who can try to reimagine the center of our politics and get us on a different trajectory of debate. I mean, talking to the urban center, talking to people in urban areas where the media is highly concentrated. Who's talking to those people? But also not necessarily neglecting those in the outskirts. Also showing them that South Africa does have good leadership. So I think it's a good opportunity. I would say that South Africans are willing to listen. They've been listening to a lot of things that don't make sense. I think it's worth trying to listen to what is coming out here now.
Thank you, Ralph, and welcome to those who've just joined us. I think he had some really relevant points. We are cynical. South Africans are tired and are cynical. We have so many different parties on the ballot sheet. We tend to make jokes about the really serious things that are going on with reason. I mean, that's just our coping mechanism.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm for it because when it comes to coping mechanisms, I think it's very good that we as a country are able to laugh at our pain. It shows a sense of unity. It shows that if we can get engaged in more in more serious issues, we will still be able to do those things together, you know. So we are a country that laughs together. We are a country that feels pain together. And I think that says a lot, and it means a lot, you know.
I think it's also a testament to how important it is to have leadership, sincere and ethical leadership that's going to inspire excitement, get people to be excited about looking towards a better future again.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Ralph was just saying there, talking about how we need more positive messaging, how we need to start sharing more positive ideas, and how we can start doing, getting involved in activities that are more positive for us as a country. And I really liked that statement in itself, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw how Herman Mashaba targeted corruption in Johannesburg in a smaller scale.
Oh yes, and he was running as a mayor.
Imagine what he's going to do at a bigger scale. I mean, I remember participating in a program a few years ago, an amazing life-changing program, the Miss Earth South Africa program, and we attended one of Herman Mashaba's community cleanups, Sebetseng, where members of the community just got together in random spaces around Johannesburg, cleaning up the community, looking towards recycling. It was just such a unifying event, and if you could do something as small as that, so much attention to detail, to the important things, just imagine. It's exciting. Thanks for making us excited.
And I think I really like that reference, because we do also have a problem where certain jobs are viewed as lower towards every contribution is on every level of society.
Your community change aspirations are.
Up next, we have Tim Modise reflecting on Herman Mashaba and his new political party.
Well, I think South Africa is always evolving, and the challenges that face South Africa on an ongoing basis, in their very nature, they call for change. This being a constitutional democracy, and has been a constitutional democracy for 26 years, the expectations all throughout would have been that our society should have transformed substantially by now, whether it be education, it be economic opportunities, it be infrastructure development, it be the role of South Africa on the continent and globally. And some of those things have not been met, and that is why there's a lot of frustration in South Africa at the moment. And one issue that highlights this problem is the fact that we're sitting with a high unemployment rate in South Africa at this time, 40% plus, and more than 54% of young South Africans below the age of 35. So if one puts oneself in their shoes, or the shoes of an unemployed young person, that person asks, what has democracy delivered for me? I'm not sitting at the table of economic participation, yet I'm supposed to approve and support and endorse a democratic system. So the democratic system must deliver some benefit to those people. So as long as there are those pent-up frustrations, I think there'll always be room for other political actors to come on board. Well, I think the People's Dialogue, the movement that Herman Mashaba started recently, has generated interest in a lot of South Africans who follow events and who participate in such engagements. Now, Herman Mashaba, personally, I never thought he would become a politician ever, knowing him as a businessman and knowing him as a person. So when he entered the fray to become the mayoral candidate for Joburg, when he did, he knows personally, I actually laughed at him and laughed at the whole idea, not because I thought he was incompetent, but I just thought that, you know, it's politics after all. He may not make it, or he would not do as well as he did. But he brought a new attitude to the whole thing, and the people of Joburg now know who Herman is. We all know how competent he is when he ran the city of Joburg. So he generates a lot of interest in, especially people who live here in Joburg and Gauteng. And for him, when he says he's starting a political party, he would be taken seriously this time around, unlike when he did it the first time around. And it's based on the track record that he generated, I think, when he was the mayor of Joburg. Firstly, I think the point must be made that forming a political party is not the same as running a government or winning elections. It's but the beginning of something else. There are many political parties in South Africa anyway at this time, and that's something that needs to be noted. And therefore, when a new political party is formed, people will have expectation that maybe it will come up with something new, something unknown, something different to address the issues that they are familiar with. So his party, his organization is likely to be judged more on how it reaches out to the different communities and interest groups, and how the policies or principles that it claims to stand for are articulated and resonate with those people. But more importantly, it is how they push that agenda and try to deliver on that agenda. So, and of course, to deliver, you need to win the elections. In other words, win as many people as possible, to your point of view, and thereafter, if you win something, a municipality here, a metro there, and then demonstrate that you are capable, only then will people say, well, we now know what this organization stands for. And at least in the person of Herman Mashaba, there's an experience that people have had, especially here in Joburg, that he can push his ideas through and deliver on some of them. So, they start on that base. But one must not forget, it's a party that's been formed. It's not a party that's in charge of anything yet. Where we started in 1994 was defined by what was being kicked out at that time, which is apartheid, which was led by the National Party, and the struggle for liberation, which was dominated and led by the ANC. And therefore, the ANC was the party of liberation, as well as the custodians, as it were, of the new democracy, because of the formulation of the Constitution, the introduction thereof. But over time, that type of change that we went through in 1994 does no longer apply. What is important now is the ability to govern, because the Constitution is in place. What people need now is, I think, from any political party, including the one that Herman Mashaba is forming, is the ability to deliver on the aspirations of, first, the Constitution, second, the people themselves, where they are, where they live, and given the experience that they have had up to now. Education is still important. Healthcare is still important, even more so now with what we had with the COVID-19 situation, for instance. It highlighted a lot of things. People are not happy with corruption, irrespective of us being having the best constitution or one of the best constitutions in the world. To their minds as South Africans, corruption is corruption is corruption. They will not tolerate it from anyone, whether it be ANC or it be the People's Dialogue or it be any other organization. And that's an important thing to note. But I think economic performance, South Africa has got the wherewithal to be one of the leading countries really to deliver good quality life. We, thanks to nature and history, we happen to be here. We know minerals are there. We still enjoy a reasonable climate, and we've got capacity agriculture-wise. So people ask themselves, why can't we grow the economy and create jobs at the same time? But I look at it from the point of view of a young South African. I think any reasonable young person says, I want to realize my potential, and they want their potential to be unleashed. And whoever can create conditions that lead to young people realizing their potential, one, ordinary South Africans enjoying reasonable quality of life, two, and knowing that you can always participate in this economy in a much more meaningful way is what people want. Otherwise, the more ambitious may want to make more money, and they do see people making money, that's another story. But I think it is, those three categories of people that I'm thinking of. And another thing, every day people are concerned about their personal safety, for instance. The crime levels are too high in the country and have been for a while. Whoever can come up with ways of reducing those levels is somebody that a good number of people will take seriously. And in the overall sense of the word, South Africans are proud of the country. They would like to see the country play a much more influential role on the continent as well as in the world. And they like to see themselves as a respected people. I'm going back to the 90s as an example. And during the times of Mandela, if you traveled around the world and people would be too happy to meet you because you're South African, I would say, oh, Mandela. It rubbed off on people, that type of thing, that you felt like you were important somehow. And I think many people would welcome anyone, any party that can help bring back that stature.
Thank you, Tim, for your interesting feedback. September, did you know that South Africa has the best constitution in the world?
Actually, no, I didn't. When he actually said that, it kind of hit me that we are actually a little bit privileged when it comes to certain things, because he spoke about how democracy is constitutional and it's a constitutional right for all citizens to live in a democratic state, whereas when you look in other countries, you kind of find the opposite. So that was interesting for me to find that out.
It's what's so sad about it is that so many of us don't know that we have such a great constitution because it's being covered up and concealed by a corrupt government.
Yeah, but on the other side, though, he also spoke about South Africa's contribution to the globe and to the continent within itself, right? And I think it's very interesting that over the last 25 years, when it comes to democracy, we were the country that was put on a pedestal to become like an example of what an integrated society is supposed to look like and all of that, but because of certain activities in the political space, we've actually seen quite the opposite taking place, and the country is kind of spiraling down because of such things,
We want to see what you have to say about corruption. Please just keep hashtagging and engage with us on social media. Up next, our first endorsement video from anti-corruption guru Paul O'Sullivan.
I've known Herman Mashaba for well over 20 years, probably 25 or 30 years. And Herman's the type of person that South Africa needs. He's a no-nonsense guy, he's hardworking, and he rolls his sleeves up. He has no problem with getting stuck into the job. Most importantly, and I think today it's very important for us to all understand, we're almost 30 years into democracy in South Africa, and with a single government and a lackadaisical opposition, we really haven't moved on. In fact, we've gone backwards to where we were in 1994. And I don't see any reason whatsoever why people like Herman Mashaba should not be given an opportunity and see what they can do. Is we know we're not going to get cronyism. He will select the best person for the job, regardless of their race, and that will result in the right people being appointed in the right jobs. And it won't matter to him what that person's background is, so long as he's competent. The problem we have at the moment in South Africa is that we have cronyism and cadre appointment, people that are appointed not because of what they know, but because of who they know. And also they have to pay back for their appointments, and they're expected to commit corruption. So South Africa has become one of the most corrupt countries in the world, almost moving on a slow trajectory upwards since 1994. And I think if Herman's given an opportunity, this may be reversed.
Thank you, Paul, for that powerful endorsement. It's exactly what you said. Herman is the man that we need, someone who will roll up his sleeves and get the job done. Be unbiased in his decisions of who will take certain positions. Give positions to competent people who can really make a difference.
Yes, and speaking of taking position and being competent, there are people on the streets who define those exact words, and they would like to voice out their point of views. So let's hear from them while you engage with us on social media.
not really happy with the parties in South in this province here, because I want to join another party. You see, who can help us in our struggle and everything. You see.
So Herman Mashaba?
I think he's a good candidate. I think so. You see, and I really want to meet him. You see, but I think he will do that. He will do the best for us in this country and this province.
Us as South Africans, we're crying out for good leadership, and Mr. Mashaba is now stepping up to the plate, and he's starting this new political party, and he had a pre-engagement with the people of South Africa and to hear what they got to say. So I'm excited about it because we need leadership that is, to be very honest with you, that want to lead that serves the people. We need servant leadership, and if I look at Mr. Mashaba and I look at his history and I look at where he's come from and what he's achieved in his life, he understands that there's no such thing as entitlement. And I think as South Africans, we tend to lean towards entitlement, even if I look at, certain political parties at the moment, and where it should be servanthood, and where you have to work hard and you have to contribute to society. And I think Mr. Mashaba understands that. Just if I look at where he's come from, what he's built up, the business enterprises that he's built up, where he started in the back of his car selling products, up to the empire that he's built up. So he understands that it takes dedication, that it takes hard work, it takes effort, it takes discipline to be able to build well.
As far as I know, Mr. Henry Mashaba, I think it would be a good idea. We know him as our mayor. He was fighting against poverty. He was fighting a lot of things against us when he was a mayor. So if we launch a new party, we're going to support him.
I believe it's going to be a challenge for the current government, and I believe that they will make a difference because they have experienced the corruption, the unfairness, everything that has gone wrong in our country. And they have first-hand experience because they were in Parliament, Herman Mashaba himself was a mayor, and I believe there'll be a change. I honestly pray that they would do the right thing and bring South Africa back to where it used to be, in the sense of economical status, and even with all the gender-based violence and things, I believe that there would be a difference.
It's interesting times for South Africa. Herman Mashaba is obviously the founder owner of Black Like Me, and he's done very well with his company. And I mean, for me, I believe that a person that can handle a company in that way and make a success of it in that way can only do well for the country. Naturally, he will have his detractors. We know about politics, and because of the stance that he had, I mean, we look at how he worked as the Joburg mayor. As a Christian, I stand for righteousness and justice. And I mean, he was stopping people from doing things that they shouldn't be doing. But of course, because people had been allowing people to do things that they shouldn't be doing, they were not too happy with him. So I believe it's a good thing for South Africa. Maybe we're getting in new blood that will start to do things the right way. So I'm all for it.
He stood up for his beliefs when he was mayor of Joburg. To the point of resigning. That's really sticking to your guns, and he's clearly an intelligent, driven, successful individual, which we don't have any in the ruling party. The socialist bent has shown its stripes in the results in our economy. It's crashing and burning. We can't have any more of this if we don't want to be like Mozambique was 20 years ago, or Zimbabwe is now. We're hot on Zimbabwe's heels in terms of being a complete banana republic. And, something radical has to change now.
He is the right man for the job. I think he can do best because by the time he was a mayor for Johannesburg, there was a lot of developments, a lot of changes in the town. You could see the town was clean. I mean, he was taking good care of especially the fact that those other flats that had been occupied by illegal immigrants, he was trying to take care of that and turning this town into more like he would turn all these old buildings into more like a business, like a business center. So I think I love his views, especially on what he stands for. He stands for, a clean place. He stands for a good community. He stands for people, that he wants to make sure that people will be getting all these rights that they've been fighting for.
I love Mr. Herman Mashaba with all my heart. He's a fantastic person. He don't into corruption. He's a fair person. I love him very much.
I think he's the right man to lead us because he got disturbed by other parties and obviously other big members of other parties. To be honest with you, so much was looking promising when he was in charge. So I think that they then realized that his goals are not just like other people they are doing, manipulating us as the community, pretending to work for us, where else there's nothing in the good side of it, where it shows that as young people of South Africans, it's very difficult for us these days because we are putting our trust on these people only to find that in the downgrade of it, when it comes to our stage, we suffer a lot.
I believe it's a very positive move. I think I personally, I'm very encouraged by that. I think we need more options, political options, than we currently have in South Africa. What I like about the prospect of Herman starting a party is that what I know of him is he's an entrepreneur first and foremost. He's experienced in business. And I think that is something that is sorely lacking amongst our politicians today, is that they don't appear to understand the basic business fundamentals. Ultimately, I think running a country is not dissimilar to running a business. And if you have no business acumen or business experience, I don't believe you could actually make the right calls when it comes to running a country and all the economic decisions that go along with that. So I believe that Herman so far is probably one of the best prospects that we've had. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's, I guess, a capitalist at heart. He's got a democratic viewpoint. And he appears to care about the general man in the street. I also think that because of his historic success, which started back in 1985, I believe, when he started his business, Black Like Me, he succeeded in spite of our historical past, being apartheid. I also believe that as a result, he is unlikely to use apartheid as an excuse for failures in the future, which unfortunately is something that has been a problem in our government ever since 1994. Our various leaders have continuously referred back to history and apartheid, and every time an excuse is required for a failing or a shortcoming. So I do believe that Herman would see past that.
Yeah, Herman Mashaba is cool, man. I think I need to, hear more from him based on his agendas for Johannesburg and what he's trying to do for change. And based off that information, then I'd be willing to vote for him. And if I'm in agreement with his agenda, then I'm definitely inside.
We are so excited that Herman Mashaba is launching a new party. Especially we need a better education, and we are hoping that he will do something better, especially for our education, and it's something which we are very excited on, and we are ready to support, and we are putting all the gears on to put everything we can to support him.
I've been following Herman Mashaba on Facebook for the last 3 or 4 months. And I've so enjoyed his narrative. I've really enjoyed hearing and reading his vision for this country. I think it's really a positive vision, an all-inclusive vision, which just seems to be paving a better way for all South Africans, black, whites, coloreds, Indians, doesn't matter what you are. But I'm really enjoying the way that he's framing things.
I would definitely support a new party where we're going to see change as a people of South Africa. So if there's a Mr. Mashaba starting a new party, if there's change going to be made, I definitely vouch for that new party. It's a good idea, actually.
Currently, there's a lot of mixed feelings and emotions, where our government is concerned. But I do believe that they are doing everything they can, given the pandemic that we actually find ourselves in. I do believe that they do have our best interests at heart in terms where our health is concerned. So I do believe that they are doing what they can for us.
Mornings, how's it, man? Claudia. I've got a local business here in Untitled Chapter, and we just, I think we're just all tired of what's happening in the country. Corruption. We're giving and we're not receiving. It's just a daily trend in this country at the moment, and I reckon we're behind something new, something positive. So I reckon we are behind Mashaba's party at the moment. That's I think he's the front runner.
We're all rooting for you, and we are crying out for good leadership in South Africa.
I, Kim Babalola, would definitely support Herman Mashaba's new party.
I would definitely support Herman Mashaba, and I wish him everything of the best.
I'm Pierre Brink, and I will support Mashaba's party.
And that was South Africa in its diversity as you know it. It's pretty exciting actually to see people of all different races, all different age groups, just them talking about their hopes and dreams. And what I really like is that there's a sense of similarities in the stuff that they're expressing, which goes back to us talking about how we are able to laugh at our pain, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it shows.
I mean, we were talking earlier about how South Africans are so cynical about politics in particular, and now we can see a group of people, just a small group representational of the larger majority, who are excited for some change, something different, something that brings voice to the people and power to the people. This is huge. It's so exciting.
Yep, very exciting. And while we're speaking about having your own voice, we hope that you are voicing yourself on social media and telling us what are your hopes and dreams, what are you excited about, and where would you like to see us go as a country. So please get involved, and yeah, we will be involved with you as well.
Keep hashtagging.
Next up, a message of support from state capture whistleblower Feki Mento.
It took it less than 30 years to dismantle everything that we had. A strong and thriving economy, beautiful infrastructure, unity of the people. All those things were destroyed by the ruling party. But a brand new day has emerged. We today are cutting the shackles of deep corruption. We are cutting an umbilical cord of a new baby, a new South Africa that is being given birth to by all of us, all South Africans from all walks of life. We are calling on everybody, as everybody is busy joining. We say with our party, all races matter, all gender matter, all people matter, all people of different faiths matter, young and old matter alike, men and women matter alike. We are calling on all of you.
A powerful quote from Feki, cutting the shackles of deep corruption. And another one, a new South Africa being given birth to by the South African people. That's what we need. A political party that's going to fight for the rights of all South Africans, and particularly those who are most economically impacted.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And as we give birth to a new South Africa, let us stand together and sing the national anthem.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika malubakanisu pondolwayo yizwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo Setting twale masweye usibuluke sichabasa Yesu sichabasa hemel het die diepte van ons siel. Oor ons ewige gebed waar die kruise antwoord gee. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land.
I announced my resignation on the 21st of October 2019. Massive outcry overnight by civil society, saying, Mashaba, please don't resign. Mashaba, please start your own political party. But forming my own political party, what do you base it on? Or on people writing for the newspapers and phoning radio stations and so forth? That's not good enough. That's when, with some of my colleagues, we put together a plan to say, look, let's start a second CODESA. This CODESA must be the CODESA run by civil society. Let's engage them. Let's see South Africans. Firstly, two things we wanted to achieve. Firstly, we wanted to see if we form a political party, do we have the numbers behind us? Secondly, and more importantly, why South Africans and I share the same values. That resulted with the launch of the People's Dialogue on the 6th of December 2019. We were overwhelmed by the response of South Africans. 2.4 million submissions. I was personally expecting 500,000. I was going to be happy with 500,000. 2.4 million submissions. Of the 2.4 million submissions, 125,000 of them quite extensive submissions, 10 to 12 page long, giving us turnaround strategies, how to turn around SA Airways, ESCOM and so forth. These are people, South Africans, who are saying, not in our name, we can still save this country. That's really what animated me about the people of this country. People of South Africa wanted a non-racial South Africa. They wanted a free market economy. They wanted social justice. They wanted the rule of law. They wanted electoral reform. And what actually came out quite clear is that the people of this country lost faith in politicians. They wanted to really be the ones in charge of the political environment that came out of this. But what also came out of the People's Dialogue was that people said to Mashaba and the team, we've spoken, we've engaged, we've dialogue, but this is not time for action. On the final report, that's then informed the formation of the new political party, then announced the formation and the launch of the political party on the 29th of August. And here we are today to launch that political party to serve people of South Africa.
se senke hore o na sa nyake kore hemene he enele mfano eleng hore ha lena le ira dilo so yena o dira his own way, and he will always win ka way ya ha ya di etsang ka yona. Ya message on ka bang le ona mabapi le soana le hemen ya nna ke re the way a hatileng ho tloha ko mathomong, because dilo tse ntse hore a ere he batho ba ya kwa yena e kwa go senya ke ntho e wrong. That is the first thing. So I re le mo eleng hore o tlo launcha a party, and then a party ya hae e ka ba successful, aske a change his life method wa phelang ka ona, a itshware ka mokgwa itshwereng ka teng, and then ebe hore le batho tla ba tshwara ka mokgwa eleng hore o itshwere ka teng.
Yes, I think it will be a success because from the beginning, Herman Onale vision and mission. O compromise dilo tse dintsi. Is a businessman o leng gore o riskile ka tšhelete ya gagwe le di-efforts tsa gagwe to build Black Like Me, and then it was a success. Even now, sentene ile a success. Then boeneng ba gagwe o rata go bona gona letswelopele, o batla go bona everybody batho ba le equal. Mo go goleng ga gagwe o gotse e le gore is from a poor family, then ena ka boena e ba a ipolelela gore ha batla go remaina poor, o batla go nna successful, and then a thuse le batho. I think they must vote because o tlotlisa di-changes tse leng gore the current government e palela go di tlisa, and then other political parties le tsona they tried but they failed. So I think ka his new ideas a ka tla le di dilo tse pila mo bathong tse leng gore batho ba ka di rata.
From my experience, because I started voting in 1994, from apartheid, I expected change. Now, the most unfortunate part is it never happened. Please, please, please think of us as senior citizens, particularly these senior citizens from now that are they are from the oppression. They didn't go to school. Today, there are absolutely no benefits. So those people, I would like to say, consider them.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. Your words have really resonated and hit home with me. It's exactly what you're saying. The dialogue is over and it's time for action. We all just need to unite and be motivated in the pursuit of fighting for a better South Africa.
Correct, and thanks to everybody who has just joined us. Please engage with us on social media. The hashtag is It's Time for Action.
Up next, a powerful message from a powerful woman, Makosi Khoza.
My name is Makosi Khoza. I've been a member of parliament. I've also been a councillor. As a mother, as a woman, as a feminist, as an academic, as a businesswoman, I am welcoming the formation of this new party because South Africa needs a political party that is going to unite us as South Africans. Because truth be told, we are all victims of corruption in this country. It has destroyed the SOEs, destroyed the education system, destroyed even the moral fiber of society. We are really sitting with an economy that is weak and that is contracting. And if we have a party that is truly going to represent us as South Africans, that we can hold accountable, we are going to prosper as a nation. And I want to say congratulations the People's Dialogue and Herman Mashaba for starting this, for bringing back hope to South Africans. We've been looking for something like this for a very long time. It's not like we don't have other parties in South Africa. We do have the political parties, but for a change, we have a party that promises to unite us as South Africans, that promises to unite young and old, black and white, Indian or colored, irrespective of who you are now welcome in this party, and I'm truly excited about this initiative.
Thank you, Makosi, for your powerful and resonating words. Your words have resonated with me and I'm sure with many of the members of our audience. You spoke about how corruption has destroyed the moral fiber of society. We can see that today. This month, Women's Month, marks a year-long protest against gender-based violence. We still have not seen active change from our government.
Yeah, and I think a country is only as good as its leaders. So with that being said, I would like for the men in our society to start taking charge of self and start evaluating and taking accountability in how they engage with the people around them, the relationships you have with the women and children in your life. Start looking into your mental state, your emotional state, because these things contribute to how we can make this situation better. And with that being said, this is not just an issue that is for women, but it's for all members of society and all gender groups. So I would like for the LGBTQ plus community, the males and the females in our society, to contribute to this situation and how we can make it better. With that being said, I think this is your opportunity to also share ideas with us and tell us how we can make this better. And, you know, voice yourself. It's hashtag, it's time for action.
Now we'd like to introduce you to the Director of Operations of this new party, Funzi Ngobeni, who's been working on the ground for the past couple of months, gathering support and volunteers. Over to you, Funzi.
Dumelang, molweni, goeiemorgen, good morning, sanibonani, absheni, nda. Like Herman Mashaba, I gave up a career in the private sector to get involved in politics. I did so because I love my country and I want more for the people of South Africa. My name is Funzi Ngobeni. I serve as a Director of Operations in this new party. My role is to build the ground structures of this party across the length and breadth of our great country and to fill them with dedicated South Africans who will take our message to every province, every town, every city, every street, and every home. The truth is that I've never been busier in my life than I've been over the past few weeks. South Africans, black and white, Indian and colored, have come forward from the dusty villages and the bustling cities of our country in numbers that have overwhelmed us. So many of the people who have come forward are those who have given up on our political system and voting. But in this new party, they are finding hope. We now have structures in every province of South Africa. During the lockdown, we respected the limitations on face-to-face engagement and the health of South Africans. Through WhatsApp groups, phone calls, virtual meetings, we built this party from the ground. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we stand over 60,000 volunteers who have registered with us to begin work of fixing our country. 60,000 volunteers before the party was even launched, before our program of action was shared, and before we have revealed the name and identity of this new organization. Can you just imagine where we will stand in the days and weeks and months that follows this great day that will be recorded in the history of our country? In the municipalities we have announced that we will contest in 2021 next year, we already have structures in place down to the level of the voting district. And in other municipalities, we are under mounting pressure that they too are ready to campaign to win next year. Our volunteers are young and they are old. They come in every color, gender, sexual orientation, and religious conviction. But what binds them to act as one is a deep love of our country and the belief that by working together, we can do what no other party can, which is to unseat the ANC and put South Africa on a path to prosperity, dignity, and healing. Our volunteers do not seek position and title. We will not be a party of fiefdoms and factionalism. We have devised a constitution where every person joining our ranks will be committing to the service of South African people and not to the service of our political party. From this day onwards, we'll be taking the message that rings out from this place, the message of the hope that arises from an alternative for our country. And we will deliver this message to the doorsteps of every home in our country. If you want to know whether this is a new home or this is a new political home, I will ask you to answer the following questions. Do you love your country? Do you hate how we have been failed by a political system? Are you tired of corruption, mismanagement, and failure? Do you believe, like I believe, that we can build a country that we all deserve? Do you think it is time for something new, something fresh, something built by the people of South Africa? If you have answered yes to these questions, then now is the time for you to join us. You can sign up through our website, which will be launched at midday today, and you can join thousands of South Africans who are taking control of the future of this great country. The time for talk has come and gone. It is now time for action. Working together, we will grow, and we will grow until the voices of all South Africans are so loud that they can never be ignored again. I thank you.
Funzi, those are some amazing numbers. 60,000 volunteers from dusty villages to bustling cities.
Yep, and this is a man who left the private sector to join politics so that he can contribute to society just like Herman. So those are very impressive numbers, and I hope the larger majority of society are ready to sign up and become members of the party.
Definitely. I mean, this amount of volunteers was only gathered from January this year. So from then until now, it just shows the excitement and the hope that people have in this party for the future. You have 2 extra volunteers, and we hope you're signing up too.
Up next, words of encouragement from political activist Mandisa Mashego.
I'd like to congratulate the new political party for establishment. It's very important that diversified political voices enter the political space and even contest elections in order to have a different and fresh, innovative, but more importantly, a political party or political parties and individuals who are ready to grab the bull by the horns and bring much needed economic justice by eradicating inequality in our communities. I'm mostly excited for the communities of Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, and Tshwane, that they will have that opportunity of having one more option on the ballot when they vote the new government at local level. Good luck to the team, and good luck to the new guys, and good luck to Herman Mashaba, and well done. South Africa needs this.
And that was Mandisa Mashego giving members of the new party words of encouragement. So if you've just joined us, you did miss out on quite a bit, but you can still catch on to the rest of the show, and you can catch the recording on the website. So with that being said, I would like to know, what did you think of that?
I really loved what she had to say. She was fiery and she got me amped up. She spoke about how this new party has diverse political voices and how important it is that they're targeting a diverse people. This party is ready to grab the bull by the horns, and I love that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting closer to the main moment, which is the leader of the party giving his speech. So stay tuned and engage with us. Up next, we have Michael Beaumont, the interim national chairperson of the new party, and he's giving us update on the establishment of the party.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For the past 13 years, I have worked in various political roles for the betterment of our country, and ultimately as Herman Mashaba's Chief of Staff in the city of Johannesburg. During this time, I came to understand something that I believe many of our fellow South Africans already feel very deeply. The political establishment in South Africa has failed us. Today, we are going to change that. For months now, we have been working to build a new political party with a mandate from you, the people of South Africa. It was, by any measure, an enormous undertaking, and a complex one too. I am here today to tell you that we have emerged with a party that will be strong, that will put South Africans first, and that will be different in every single way. We are the first political party to be formed on the wishes of you, the South African people. We are not like other parties that have come before us. We have not been formed because of our hopes, dreams, and ambitions, but because of yours. Our political system has failed us as a country. In 2019, 18.5 million South Africans did not vote. This is compared to the 17.5 million who did vote. With the challenges that face our country, with 39% unemployment, with rampant levels of crime and corruption, this disillusionment of these 18.5 million South Africans cannot be understood as apathy. It is because our political system does not inspire hope, does not offer a real alternative to the ANC, and does not present a government in waiting. It was you, the people of this country, who came forward in your millions through the People's Dialogue to say that our country needs this political party. We are here today to deliver that call to action. We are the first party to ground their approach to the greatest challenges in the solutions provided by you, the South African people. During the first phase of the People's Dialogue, with your help, we engaged around the key issues in our country, from our failing economy to our criminal justice system. Together, we agreed on the problems that need to be fixed, and together, we focused on the steps that need to be taken to move our country in the right direction. We called upon the doctors, the nurses of our country, the policemen and women, prosecutors, retired judges, business owners, big and small, the teachers and the school principals to forge the solutions we need to see our country making progress. And the results were astonishing. These South Africans know what has to be done to fix the problems in the schools, in the police stations, in our economy, and in our courts. But because they are not politicians, their knowledge has been ignored. With the launch of this new party, we will continue to work with all South Africans on the solutions that are needed for our country. We will not be a party of opposition. South Africa has many opposition parties, each with their own narrow geographical, racial, or ideological appeal. We do not aspire to opposition because the challenges of our country cannot be addressed from the opposition benches. We are a party for people, a party with broad appeal to the majority of South Africans who love their country and believe that together we can build a brighter future. Where we contest next year, we will do so to win, because we will not campaign on the words that South Africans have grown so tired of. We will campaign on the actions that we have taken to deliver services to all the South African people where we govern. But make no mistake, in 2024, we will campaign to win the 9 provinces of South Africa and for national government, because the work of fixing our country together is a national project that starts today. Membership of our party will be free, because we do not believe that you should have to pay in order to enter your political home. By midday today, our website will be launched and available to any South African who wants to join this political party in its project to fix our country. Ladies and gentlemen, today is a milestone in South African politics and a moment that will change the course of our country. We have reached this point because of you, the people of South Africa. We have been blessed by your contributions to this project with your thoughts, your prayers, your ideas, and your solutions. We have been moved by the messages of pensioners who have gone to the banks to deposit 10 Rand, 20 Rand, and 50 Rand amounts, which they could not afford to do, but they did it anyway, because they want a future for their grandchildren in South Africa. Our commitment to you today, carved into rock on which this party will be launched, is that we will work tirelessly with you, and with our actions, we will build the country that we all know to be possible. I thank you.
Michael, you spoke about how this new party is here to deliver a call to action. Well, we're here to heed that call.
Yep, and I find it fascinating that 18.5 million people did not vote in the last election. And okay, of course, with the 17.5 who voted, you know, people who are voicing their power, of course, but that kind of shows the motivation versus demotivation, because in this country there is democracy. Everybody has a choice to vote and not to. But when people do not vote, that shows how demotivated they are by the political landscape. So I hope with this new party that has been established, Herman can motivate more people to start voting, especially young people, because we are the future.
Definitely. It's all
Yeah.
about the people taking action. Hashtag, it's time to take action. Please keep commenting on social media, engage with us. We really want to hear your thoughts. And now, a message from two impressive young South African artists whose current single is doing very well on the charts. From Cape Town, Brian and Andrew from Lockenville.
I've been all around the world, and there's something about South Africa that keeps me coming back. It's a beautiful place. It's a diverse place. I honestly think it could be one of the powerhouses of the world with the correct leadership. So I really just want to see it steered in the right direction. South Africa is some of the most creative minds that I've seen, and I've kind of been to every country around the world, and we have some of the brightest minds, some of the most forward thinkers in the world. The entertainment industry is taking notice. Everybody around the globe is looking at Africa right now. This is the time to shine. What we do need is strong political leadership to really take us to the next level, so that we can be the powerhouse that everybody in this country knows that we can be. So yeah, young South Africa, make it your mission to make it the future that you want to see.
Young South Africa, make it your mission to make the future you want to see. Lockenville, that's a quote I'm going to keep with me forever.
Yep, and now is that moment that everybody has been waiting for.
It's finally time for history to be made. It's what you've been waiting for, what we've been waiting for. We're so excited for it. The big man himself is ready to give his speech.
Yes, tens and thousands of people engaging with us all over social media. I mean, we went to the streets of South Africa and you heard what the diverse nation had to say and what their hopes and dreams are. So let us hear from the man of the moment, Mr. Herman Mashaba.
I was born on the 26th of August 1959 in a small village called Kharamotsi, about 30 km north of Pretoria. Unfortunately, I lost my father at the age of 2. My mother was also not around, working in Johannesburg as a domestic worker, looking after white children and cleaning white homes. Started stealing at a very early stage of our lives, stealing water and wood. You can imagine stealing to be able to survive. But at the same time, I grew up really having this ambition. My ambition was obviously to use education to really give me kind of freedom that I yearned for. Because my grandfather, as I was growing up, always insisted on me being independent. Connie and I, we got married at the age of 22 and 20. We are now married for 38 and a half years, and it's a decision that I so deeply treasure even up to today. Really so grateful to God for having given me that wisdom of stabilizing my life. Bought my first car, Toyota Corolla. 2 months later, resigned, became a commission sales rep for a company in Johannesburg selling hair care products. But then 19 months later, I said to myself, I'm not gonna make this money for this guy. Let me start my own business. Let me actually not even become a distributor. Let me make this product. Then invited these two guys, Joseph Mulwanto and Johan Krill. I said, guys, we're making money for someone else. Let's go and make it ourselves. I had everything against me. But when I decided to really go into business, because I recognized as a human being, I was not complete. And the only way I can run a successful business, I needed to complement myself. I had to surround myself with like-minded South Africans. We learned these lessons quite early on the stages of our lives, that you know what? Human beings are human beings. And it's got nothing to really do with color, it's got to do with values. You know, my entry into politics has been totally accidental. I never thought in my wildest dream that one day I'll become a public servant. And when I joined to be the mayor, was just to send a signal to our youth in particular that let's not vote for political parties because they look like us. Let's vote for political parties for what they stand for. And that's when I realized are the fault with our political system. The majority of our politicians today are there for themselves, their stomachs and political parties. And unfortunately for me, I was not in this game to serve political parties or serve my stomach. I was in this game to serve people, to serve society, particularly the poor, to really get them out of poverty. South Africa, as you are aware, with the most unequal society in the world. And I don't want to live in a society like that. In a country with such massive potential, I felt this is not going to happen under my watch.
Sanbonani, Huemore, Dumelang, Molweni, Tobela, Afsheni, Nda. Good morning, South Africa. Let me begin by apologizing for a delayed start this morning. Like all of you, we deal with power outages too. As a people, we have traveled a long and difficult journey. After our painful and divided past, we merged into the light of democracy with hopes and dreams and a belief in the prospect of building a new country. I remember a feeling of sense of pride when I could stand in a long queue with my diverse fellow South Africans to vote in 1994. I was finally a citizen in a country of my birth. I believe would see an explosion of opportunity as the shackles of our past had been broken by great men and women who had achieved the impossible in South Africa. But, like you, I came to see how our country fell into the hands of evil people who inflicted pain and suffering on the poor of our country through their greed and failure. 26 years into our democracy, South Africans are suffering. We suffer from the highest levels of inequality. We suffer from an economy that does not grow, leaving 10 million people unemployed and families destroyed by the stress of hunger. We suffer from levels of crime that leave law-abiding citizens living in fear, while criminals roam our streets with impunity. We suffer from an education system that grooms our young people for nothing better than unemployment. We suffer from racial division and hatred and betrayal of our promise that every South African is equal and valued. We suffer from a government that has taken us backwards, not forward, that loots the funds meant to deliver opportunity, dignity, and services to the people of our country. We suffer greatly as a people. But my fellow South Africans, if there's one thing I know about the people of this country, is that we are resilient. We have endured hardship and prevailed. We succeeded in spite of our government, not because of it. We believe even when there's little to believe in. And let me tell you today, we are the majority in our country. We are not the radicals who hate and sow divisions amongst us. We are not the criminals, the extremists, the corrupt, or the racist. We are the good, hardworking, law-abiding, family-oriented, and freedom-loving people of our beloved country. We are the South Africans who love our country, hate what has been done to it, but have given up on the political system because it does not give us cause for hope. We are the greater people of this country, the silent ones, the unseen and ignored. We are black, we are white, we are Indian, we are colored, we are young, we are old, we live in cities, we live in villages, we are heterosexuals, we are LGBTQIs, we are men, we are women, and all have had enough. Because we have been silent for too long. We have given power to the noise of the few who claim to speak for us. But not anymore. Our voices are rising and rising. We are ready to take action and take back the future of our country. There's nothing as powerful in this world that does that moment when good people realize that they are the majority and stand together to change the course of history of our country. Today, I stand before you to offer you hope in the face of our despair. I stand before you today to launch a new future of our country in the face of our national depression. I stand before you today to tell you with a deep sense of conviction that we will emerge from the depth of our despair and enter a new era of prosperity. Make no mistake, it will not be easy. We face the grim prospect of 3 to 7 million more South Africans joining the ranks of the unemployed in the wake of COVID-19. We face trade unions that will protect their members at the expense of the unemployed. We face political parties who want to divide us because they are threatened by the positive change that we threaten to bring. However, if there's one thing that I've learned by engaging South Africans through the People's Dialogue, is that together we will overcome and prevail. Today I'm proud to announce the values which together we have carved into the foundation of bedrock on which our vision for South Africa will be built. We stand with the majority of South Africans for a non-racial future. I affirm today that this non-negotiable truth that every South African has an equal and intrinsic value, no less, no more than any other. Racism diminishes the equality and worth of South Africans and set us back in our progress for our country. It has no place in this new party, and it has no place in our country. When I started my business at the age of 22, many people who did not know that I partnered with a white Afrikaner from Boksburg and an Indian from Lodium. In the mid-1980s, when it was illegal to do so, we succeeded together to build a successful business. This is the dream I have for South Africa. Together with you, we stand for social justice. I want to share a story with you. The day my heart broke for the millions of people in our country living without dignity. While campaigning in Alexander in Johannesburg in 2016, I came across a young woman. She had all the qualities that would have placed her in any boardroom if only life had been fair to her. She invited our delegation into a shack, and I noticed she had no toilet facilities anywhere nearby. I asked her, "How do you survive without a toilet?" She replied that, "I have trained my body to only need the toilet at my place of work." We cannot fulfill our destiny of an unracial future for as long as the brutal legacy of our history continues to persist like this. A history that deprives too many of our fellow South Africans of the most basic of life's dignities. We cannot sit back and allow our fellow South Africans to live in squalor in informal settlements across our country. We are going to reclaim our cities from criminal elements and offer these buildings to the private sector to build affordable accommodation for our people, students, and small businesses. Triple B has not served anyone but the wealthy, politically connected elite over and over and over again. It must be put in its rightful place in the rubbish dump of our history. It must be replaced with a massive program of investment in education and opportunity in areas where communities suffer from the legacy of our unjust past. We believe in the transformative power of education. Despite spending one of the highest percentages of our budget in education, our education system is ranked as one of the worst, particularly in the critical subjects of maths and science. We will launch an education revolution in South Africa with a new curriculum that raises a nation of employers, not just employees. We are going to focus on investing in early childhood development centers to prepare and equip every child in South Africa and an early start in education. Small business development and the skills of future jobs will become a focus in our schools, along with efforts to teach young men about respecting and protecting the women of our country. SATU will learn that we, the majority of this country, choose our children over them, and teachers and principals will be performance managed. We, the majority of the country, stand for economic prosperity for all South Africans. I personally know the power of economic freedom. I grew up in a rural village of Haramutsi, Hammanskraal, in the north of Pretoria. I know the pains of hunger. I started my business at the age of 22 and have enjoyed the freedom that arose from my hard work. This is my dream for all South Africans. Unemployment is destroying our country. Over 10 million of our fellow citizens live without the dignity that comes with work, with millions more projected to join their ranks after this pandemic. When our citizens are unemployed and they become dependent on the state to survive, their dignity and self-worth is also destroyed. Children grow up not seeing their parents going to work, and the family unit becomes devastated. With this, our country grows weaker and weaker. We must change this. We will lead the revitalization of the South African economy through a clear, decisive, uncompromising implementation of sound policies that will deliver the promise of a prosperous and shared future. We will reform the labor laws of our country and end the stranglehold that trade unions have had over our government. Trade unions are a key stakeholder, just like any other, but they will not have a veto right of our economic destiny. We must make it easy for businesses to hire more of our people and citizens, because we cannot protect what will soon become a minority of employed people at the expense of the majority of unemployed people. We will remove every barrier in the way of small businesses, and we will actively support them. One-stop shops will be created, just as we did in Johannesburg, where small businesses can receive all the help they need to get started. We will ensure access to finance through government-insured loans, through commercial banks, and we will offer tax incentives to all small businesses. The cornerstone of our economic offer will be the establishment of free trade zones located near areas of high unemployment. We must end the era of believing the world owes us something and offer the investment incentives that make South Africa an attractive place to invest. We will not treat the private sector as adversaries, but as partners in the work of employing every single South African. When I was growing up, I remember the industrial areas of Babelegi, Harankuwa, Mohwasi, Twatwa in the Free State, Seshego, and other areas across the country. In these communities, the only people who did not work were those who did not want to work. Today, these communities sit with unemployment levels approaching 80% and youth who sit on the street corners without purpose in their lives. The state-owned industrial areas are full of factories that lie empty, abandoned, and derelict. A sad reminder of an era when South Africa was a manufacturing hub. We must change this. We will take these abandoned factories and we'll put them out to the private sector with incentive to recommission them and employ more people from these communities. These areas will once again become hubs of economic activity. We will soon commission a study through one of the leading universities so that a plan can be put into place and on the first day in office. We will invest heavily in universities, EFTs, nursing and teachers training colleges, as well as vocational schools, so that every young South African has access to a set of skills that they can put to use in improving their lives. For any of this to happen, we have to reorganize our national budget. In this future I speak of, there is no room for state-owned entities that need bailouts. There is no room for cadre deployment that employ ANC cadres. There is no room for a cabinet of 70-odd people And there will be no room for the vast VIP protection services and lavish lifestyles. We, the majority of this nation, stand resolutely for the rule of law. Our country has degenerated into a society or a law-abiding citizens live while the corrupt and the violent live without any fear. We must change this. Our police force needs to be restructured to become a modern crime-fighting machine. We need more policemen and women. We need to resource our detective units and modernize our investigative capacity. We have to remove the political interference that cripples our police. Our court system needs to be resourced and expanded so that the pace of justice is sped up. A system of regional heads of the NPA must be introduced so that you, the people of South Africa, can hold them account for prosecutorial performance. We need specialized units to tackle priority crimes in South Africa, including the re-establishment of the Scorpions. The specialized units must follow a prosecutorial style of investigation and must be supported by similarly specialized units in the NPA in our court system. One thing, and I can guarantee you, as someone notorious for saying what I mean and meaning what I say, is that I hate corruption and I hate it with a passion. Corruption cannot be fought with rhetoric or platitudes, but only with action. I did this in Johannesburg with a professional unit that investigated over 6,000 cases involving more than 35 billion rands in expenditure and effected more than 800 arrests. If you want this throughout our country, and if you want to see our politicians in jail for corruption, or the likes of the Guptas extradited to face trial in South Africa, then you have found your political home. Like all of you, I've grown tired of the repeat offenders being released on parole and committing rape and murder again. In the coming months, our party will consider this question, and perhaps it is time to consider, at the minimum, throwing away the key for those who are found guilty of gender-based violence, rape, or murder. I'm tired of the rights of criminals who kill and rape over and over again being given a stronger voice than the murdered and raped young women who still would be with us today if their murderers had not been released from prison. In the interim, we believe that private prosecution is the route to pursue while our criminal justice system is still captured. Our party stands for an end to illegal immigration, and we stand firm on this one. We are a sovereign country, and as such, we have borders. Despite this, we have not met the expectations of our own citizens, and therefore cannot possibly meet the expectations of citizens of other nations who are here illegally as well. We have the right and legal obligation to our citizens to determine who may enter our country and for what reason. These are not only laws, by the way, most self-respecting nations in the world. I stand against xenophobia, and there's no place for this or any type of hatred in our party or in our country. So let me be clear. We want the people of the world to come to South Africa to work, vacation, and invest. But when people enter South Africa, they must meet two very reasonable requirements. Firstly, they must enter our country legally, and secondly, they must obey our laws once here in South Africa. This should not be negotiable. My fellow South Africans, we have a crisis taking place across our border. For years, our government has watched while ZANU-PF destroyed a country once capable of feeding much of Southern Africa. This crisis impacts our country deeply, and it is now time for a new approach. It is time for hard diplomacy. We must adopt the strongest and harshest policies against an oppressive government and not punish the people of Zimbabwe. This should start by freezing the assets of ZANU-PF leaders in South Africa and banning them from entering our country until there's real reform in that beloved country. We cannot stand for justice, dignity, and human rights while ignoring the crisis across our border. Ladies and gentlemen, we commit to deal decisively with drug syndicates that destroy the future of our vulnerable youth and in the process destroy our families. We will deal with them in the only language they understand, with force. We also believe in dealing decisively with criminal syndicates destroying our country's infrastructure. It angers me to watch as our rail network is openly destroyed on a daily basis while our people are being failed by our public transport system. And it angers me to see our electricity infrastructure being looted when our people live in darkness. This, ladies and gentlemen, must also change. Along with you, we stand for electoral reform. South Africa must vote directly for the president, members of parliament, premiers, and their mayors. They should do so in a constituency-based system that forces political parties to put forward credible candidates, not the career politicians that sit in our parliament representing their own ambitions, not our needs. If we did this in a country, we would be able to hold elected officials accountable, and what candidates offer would be more important than which political party they represent. While we fight for this change in legislation, we will not just talk this principle, but we will live it too. We will put words into action. Our candidates who contest elections will not be chosen in backrooms by our party. They will be chosen by you, the people of South Africa, through a system of direct democracy in the form of primary elections. Candidates who apply to be public servants will campaign in their wards, and when the time comes, those who have registered with us will be asked to vote to choose their candidates for our party in a primary held before election day. This very same system will be used to performance manage our public representatives. Those who disappoint you, they will be replaced. Our public representatives must serve you, the people of our country. Along with you, we stand for ethical leadership and a professional public service. South Africa is filled with promise and potential, but we are being held back by greed and corruption and the looting of state resources meant for basic services. We must change this, South Africans. We will hold the public representatives of our party to the highest ethical standards and ensure that we declare corruption as public enemy number one. This is not negotiable. We'll act to professionalize the public service sector to ensure that we build a capable and efficient state that serves the interest of South African people, not career politicians and deployed cadres. Public sector appointments should be based on merit, competence, and a commitment to ethical service to the people of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, these are our values, forged in partnership with millions of South Africans. It is an unbreakable bond which will never change, while will never shift and will never be forgotten because it was forged with you. We will not be an opposition party. South Africa has many opposition parties, but it has no government in waiting. The opposition has failed in South Africa because they lack broad appeal and they had no offer a viable prospect of unseating the ANC. We will change this. Where we contest next year, we will win. Where we win, we will govern for the benefit of all South Africans. We will make this our offer to all South Africans in 2024. My father passed away when I was 2 years old, and my mother was a domestic worker in Johannesburg. I was raised by my sisters and my grandfather. It was my grandfather who taught me, listen to what people say, but trust only what they do. That is why I say to you today, the time for talk is now over. My fellow South Africans, it is now time to reveal the name and identity of our new party. Now is the time for action.
We've spoken, we've engaged, we've dialogue, but this is not time for action.
There we go. Lovely. How's that frame, guys? Are we good?
Now that the time for talking is over and the era of action is upon us, I stand before you to dedicate this new party to you, the people of our country. Before I proceed, I've asked my family to join me on stage to thank them. I would not be standing here today without their unwavering support of our shared vision to fix South Africa. We will achieve nothing as individual or as a country without strong families. This I know for sure. I'm blessed by a family that has backed our endeavors, supporting me through this difficult and time-consuming journey, and for leading the way in resourcing this effort. My beloved wife, Connie, our two children, Kensani and Rulani. Thank you. I thank you personally for your sacrifice and support, and on behalf of all South Africans who believe in the importance of this new party. They are part of the majority of our people who refuse to give up on our country. We will no longer be silent. We will no longer let the corrupt, the racist, and the radical few speak on our behalf. We will no longer allow our country to be destroyed by greed and incompetence. Let us act as one against corruption and act as one for capable and ethical government. Let us act as one against unemployment and act as one for jobs and quality education. Let us act as one against crime and act as one for the protection of our women and children. Let us act as one against growing inequality and act as one for social justice. Let us act as one because actions speak louder than words. And I thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm so inspired and motivated by what you've had to say, Mr. Mashaba. Thank you for reiterating that if we want to change the course of the future, we need to take action.
And we've heard it all, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, we went to the streets of South Africa. You engaged with us on social media, and we heard political analysts, members of the party expressing their excitement about their hopes and dreams and everything that we can do as a country. So with that being said, I really enjoyed that.
I mean, if you'd like to find out more information or even become a member, please visit at actionsa.org.za.
Yep, become an active member of society, and thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Act as one.